A scholar, as we all know, is not necessarily a knower. This fact is, in a way, mysterious. It is strange, and it gives rise to the question, how is it possible that people or a human being can have knowledge, seeming knowledge, without having knowledge? I mean, this is a contradiction that Gurdjieff, well, was a very important point in Gurdjieff's teachings and in all the inner teachings. It means that the human being is not a human being. A human being is two beings, two human beings, whereas the one of the two is not, in its essence, human. He called this the machine. So people are not just people. We have to do with machines. It's a very unpleasant notion for people to realize that they maybe are a machine. So a scholar can also be a very intellectual machine.
Usually is.
But I just wanted to point to this, you know, that the scholar usually represents only one part of the creation of wisdom, which is the structure. He has no access to chaos. Because chaos, we cannot have access to chaos within the mind. The mind is completely dedicated, although it is confused and seems unstructured in many ways, but actually structure for the mind means to survive. Chaos means death. Yes, this was something looking at the teachings of the Fourth Way, also from the perspective of Advaita teachings. You know, there was a time, it's always difficult to call it time, but it's a memory, you know, from time, in which I called it the shock of the Absolute. God's shock was so extreme that evolution did not exist. I didn't even feel humanity or being a human being. So, listening to biographies of Advaita masters like Ramana Maharshi, you will definitely find the same views, you know. Evolution, creation, the world is unessential and does not change my being. So the final truth is there is no evolution.
So in respect of the Fourth Way, the way that Gurdjieff described the Fourth Way that he introduced, he said that at certain points in time, it's necessary for some things to be introduced to humanity. And when that happens, then the Fourth Way emerges to make the introduction. And it's not known where Gurdjieff got most of his information from, but it certainly seems to be the case that he came in contact with a specific monastery in the East. And the monastery was almost certainly Sufi. And the ideas of the Sufis are not well known. The origin of the Sufis is not well known, because nowadays when you talk about Sufis, it seems to be associated with Islam, with Mohammedanism. But the Sufis existed before Mohammedanism. So when Islam arose, the Sufis or some of the Sufi schools just adopted Islam. Prior to that, they were Zoroastrian, perhaps. And the original society of the Sufis was founded on the idea of we don't care what the tradition is. We just want to capture and preserve things that work. Methods for human beings to use to know themselves that work. So they would go to Judaism, they would go to Christianity, because it happened. Sufis were formed after Christianity. So they would go to a shaman, find out what works, capture it, which is why they were called the Society of the Bees, because they would go out searching for honey. And that is supposed to be where Gurdjieff got a lot of the things he introduced. He came not from Christianity, it came from the Sufis.
Well, I guess that this is just a different way. It's interesting, you know, this knowledge that the Sufis existed before Islam. So this is a different way of saying the inner core existed before flesh came, you know. But I just wanted to make a comment to my concept of inner science. This is a description, I mean, the way you describe the approach of untraditional mystics like the Sufis are. This is actually one of the pillars of inner science. I mean, this absolutely radical and non-imitative way of exploring, even in a serious but playful way, without any pre-knowledge, and then capturing it, meaning assimilation, digestion, deepening, and finally realization. So this is, I think, in short words, this is also the way I understand inner science. And all of the inner traditions, I mean the serious inner traditions that follow these principles of inner science beyond dead traditions. This path is not a way of learning anything, it's a way of destroying obstacles. And I think you also said this at the beginning, right? It's not, this quote of Gene the salesman, that this path is not so much about learning.
It's about learning not to learn. It all feels like paradox, but it's not paradox. In order to progress in any way, you have to lose things. You don't have to create things. You have to lose the structures that you built. I always think of it as that personality is clothes, and you gradually have to remove the clothes. So that you can see the personality is to stop you seeing reality. So you have to gradually work your way through it in order to find the reality.